A good quick chat with Italian coach Claudio Ranzani, who's really well traveled. He's traveled to more than 25 countries across different continents. He has worked with AS Roma as well as AC Milan. He has also been to India. He's been to Punjab to work with players from a club called YFC Rurka Kalan. And he speaks to me in this quick chat about the importance of having high intensity training sessions, as well as he does some scouting for organizations all around. So what he looks for in a player. It's a quick chat. If you're driving to training or something like that, you can just spend some time listening to him. Another amazing day, another amazing podcast with Italian coach Mr. Claudio Ranzani. Mr. Claudio Ranzani, thank you for joining. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. It's a pleasure.
Brilliant having you. So let's get cracking then, because you're a busy man, a busy coach, and I understand that you're fit time in your schedule to do this podcast. So you've spent nearly 10 years with AS Roma, which is huge, 10 years with a big club, and a little bit of time with AC Milan. So what has your coaching journey been like so far?
Eh, so I worked in Academy of Roma in the last 10 years, and I was responsible of the youth team from under 10 to under 14 category.
Okay.
I travel a lot all around the world with my teams, join tournament, join camp, and visiting academy.
Yep.
And I have a lot of experience about the international football because I watch a lot of different methodologies and different
Yes.
culture all around the world. And I'm very lucky to 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 found this possibility.
You're constantly traveling. You're a tourist. Yeah, so if we go onto your Instagram, one day you're in Asia, one day you're in Europe, one day you're somewhere. So can you tell us, are there any observations you made in these different countries that you have gone to for football?
Yeah, the first thing that you understand the difference is maybe the facilities where you have training, the possibility of the players to come in a good environment. Is very important to find the right condition
Right.
to develop the player in the right way.
Right. And it must be so different with the different cultures in different countries. Now, because we have, uh, at least on this podcast, I have a big Indian audience. You have visited a team called YFC Rurka Kalan, which is in the
Yeah.
north of India, in Punjab. So, what was your experience like over there and of Indian football?
So I'm really surprised about the the level of the player
Yeah.
because what I expected that the level was not so high, but when I was there and
Yeah.
I looked the player and I looked the culture of the club,
Yeah.
I was really surprised because I found a lot of possibility
Yeah.
to have a good training process there,
Right.
and this is what I didn't expect.
Right. And where do you think the potential lies from the players that you looked at, Indian players? Do you think they are good enough to maybe reach Europe? Are they good enough to maybe reach better Asian countries? Where do you think Indian players can reach based on the level of performance that you saw?
Yeah, I found the possibility to bring some player. The problem that some the most of the club they don't have maybe the idea to invest time and money in Asia
Yes.
football, in Asian football.
Yes.
The most of them they invest money in other countries like East Europe, like North America, South America.
Right.
And I suggest to them to take a look also in Asian countries because you can find a lot of good player.
Right. Yes.
And
Yeah, they are not
is another
Asian
possibility.
countries. Asian countries, especially India, is not known to have the best of footballers, but I'm sure you can always find that one gem. But which areas do you think India is lacking in football? So that which areas do you think they can maybe work on so that they can become a stronger football country, footballing nation?
So looking the players, the big difference that I found
Yeah,
between European football and Indian football in the characteristic of the player is the physicality,
yeah,
the the, the intensity of the game.
yes.
That this is very that you can find a different in this, but this is a process
Hmm.
that you can training in the training session. So if you increase the intensity in the training, you
Yeah,
find the player that have more intensity in the game.
right,
So if you put, for example, one player of Indian football in European football, he will increase this aspect in maybe 6 months.
right. And what about anything to do with sports science, like maybe nutrition and sleep and injury prevention or anything like that? Do you think that can have an impact?
Sorry, I don't understand.
So, you've mentioned about the training environment, so that it should be more intense and physicality has to be developed. So, what about the aspects of, do you think Indian players pay attention to the off the field stuff like good sleep, good food, and all that stuff? Or do you think there can be improvements?
I think, yeah, I think is very important. The lifestyle of the
Yes.
footballer is one of the most important aspects to have a good performance.
Right,
So the quality of food, the quality of sleeping, the the lifestyle is one of the most important aspects. And
right.
in Europe, we have a lot of attention of this.
Right. That's why Europe is so advanced in football. And as someone who has worked with so many youth players, what is your way of developing players, your way of improving players?
Sorry, can you repeat?
So you have worked with a lot of youth players in your many years of coaching. What is your way of developing youth players?
What I have to do, what I do in
What
the
is your
training
style? Yes.
to help them.
Yeah.
So I take care a lot of the intensity.
Okay.
For example, my idea, what we have in AS Roma
Yeah.
of methodology
Yeah.
is to try in the first part of the season to increase the intensity of the training.
Okay.
So the most important in the first training
Yeah.
is to have the high speed of play.
Right.
Okay, if you do this, then you have to work in technique, you have to work in the tactical aspect,
Yes.
but the most important you have to work in the high intensity. Okay, so I prefer to give them the first month just to increase the speed of the
Okay.
play and the intensity.
Yeah.
And then when the intensity is high for all the player of the team, there you start to correct some um, mistakes, some aspect of the game.
Right.
So
And
I don't like to say to the player, do it slowly and do it good.
mm,
No, for
mm,
me is do it at the speed of the game and then increase the quality.
right. And
I think is more
I
important.
definitely it's very important because you're keeping that realism within the training session. So it's more related to a match. Now, are there any tips you can give? Like, how do you manage the intensity specifically? What is your style of making sure that every session is really, really intense?
Yeah, you have to try to use a small space for example, possession game. For example, give them the ball continuously inside. When the ball go out,
Yes.
you coach and your assistant have to be ready to put other ball inside,
Right.
and the pauses and the time between one exercise and other exercise has to be very short.
Yes.
So in 1 hour and half of training, you have to try to not stop nothing, to never the
I
match.
hope one day I can see your training videos or maybe see you live, because I'm sure your sessions must be really intense and interesting to watch. I've also now, I've looked through your Instagram profile. You have also gone around countries to look for talent, to identify, to scout basically. So what do you
Yeah.
look for in a player when you want to, when you want to make a judgment on him? What are the aspects you look at?
When I go out to watch the as a player.
Yes, to look for talent.
Okay, yeah. Uh, I think the most important in the first impact that you have to the player is to look of the the quality of the technique. Of
Yes,
course, it's very important if you have to see if they have good technique or not.
right,
And then the same, and I want to repeat this, you have to see how they can train in a high intensity contest.
correct. Yes,
Okay, you have to compare the intensity that you find, for example, in India, in Russia, in South America, in North America. You have to compare this intensity of game with European intensity,
right.
because one player with a good technique maybe as more difficult when the time of the game is very short to make a decision.
Correct.
So
So,
this is very important to compare.
so are you a big fan of small-sided games? 7v7, 9v9, 5v5?
Yes, I do.
Yes, because that's what probably manages that intensity. So yes, this was actually a good short chat just to understand you, Coach Claudio, on how you approach your training environments, how you look out for players, and also what's incredible is that you have worked for AS Roma and AC Milan, which are two huge clubs, perhaps the biggest clubs in the world, and you're also spreading their work around different countries, which is why I also call you a tourist coach, because you're living the life. You've been to so many countries. What are your future plans?
Sorry, what?
What are your future plans as a coach in the near future?
So now, in this season that I stopped to coach the team because I don't work anymore in AS Roma. I
Yes.
just try to develop some project in other countries. For example, I will be in Russia. I was in Russia in September, and I will be in Russia again in January. I
Okay.
will be in Ghana, African country, in February. And I start to collaborate with some other clubs of Italian football, of Italian professional football, just to scout the best player all around the world and bring them to Italy and give them opportunity to
Right.
join Italian football.
That's amazing. Can you tell us which countries you've visited so far for football?
Yeah, I'm very lucky. I have to say,
But can
I'm
you
very
can you name them? Just so I want the audience to know how many countries you've been to just through football.
like 25, 30.
Wow. And do you
Yeah.
remember all of them?
Yes, of course. In Europe, I was in Estonia, Lithuania,
Yes.
Russia, and Sweden, Norway,
Yeah.
uh, Germany, Greece, and Israel as
Right.
well, Egypt, and then in North America. I have a lot of contact in Canada.
Okay.
I have been there several times to watch the player,
Yeah.
and then I have in Africa some contact, and in Nigeria and Ghana,
Hmm.
and Japan,
Yeah.
and China.
Yeah.
and maybe India as well.
India as well.
uh,
Yeah.
I would like to come back there maybe in the
In
future.
the near future. And South America?
South
And
America, I worked in Colombia 4 years. It was 15 years ago.
right.
Before joining AS Roma, I was there, and I was assistant coach in first division team in Colombia.
Okay. Okay.
Uh, yeah.
I think your suitcase must be ready every day because you have to just run off to another country, at such frequencies. So I'm sure you must be having your suitcase ready and ready to run the moment there's a requirement. So yeah. Yes, brilliant. So this was a good chat. I think I got a good idea of, it was enjoyable talking to such a well-traveled coach, and you've specified how high intensity training sessions are so important because it brings a realism. Thank you so much for your time. I won't keep you waiting for too long because I understand you have another place to go to in 10 minutes. And yes, thank you for your time.